Shocked, mom's inheritance goes straight to my spoiled bro, my decision to ghost the family. I just looked him dead in the eye and said, "Enjoy the house, enjoy the money, I hope it keeps you warm at night." The lawyer was speechless. My dad was telling me to sit down, but all I could see was my brother, the golden child, holding the keys to a future my mother stole from me. So I walked out, and as I drove away, I didn't just leave a town behind. I left a name, a history, and a family that proved to be rotten to the core. This isn't a story about losing an inheritance. This is the story of how I bought my freedom, lock, stock, and barrel.
Hey, story lover. Welcome to the Narrative Hub, Reddit Stories. Believe me, this adventure gets wild, but it's only epic with you. Seriously, you make this possible. Want more stories? Greater adventure? Smash subscribe right now. Smash like. Comment below. Let's go.
You're probably wondering how a family gets to that point. How you end up in a sterile lawyer's office, staring at the two men who are supposed to be your rock and feeling nothing but the cold, hard slap of betrayal. It doesn't happen overnight, it's a slow burn. A poison that drips into the foundation of a home year after year until the whole thing is ready to collapse. For us, the poison was favoritism. My brother Matthew Miller was the golden boy. Jennifer Smith was the responsible one. The reliable one, the one who fixed things. Our mother, Linda, wasn't a bad person, or so I told myself. She was just blinded. Matthew could do no wrong. When he dropped out of college, it was because he was a free spirit destined for greater things. When I graduated with honors, it was what was expected. When he racked up thousands in credit card debt, my father, Robert, was told to quietly bail him out to avoid stressing him. When I saved for a down payment on a small condo, I was told I needed to be more careful with my money. You see the pattern? I was the pillar holding the roof up, while he was the precious statue in the center of the room that everyone admired. Then Mom got sick. It was aggressive, fast. The 2 years that followed were a blur of hospital corridors, the sharp antiseptic smell of chemo wards, and late-night phone calls with worried doctors. And through it all, I was there. I held her hand when she was scared. I learned to administer her medication. I took a leave of absence from my job, draining my savings to make sure the bills were paid and she was comfortable. And Matthew, he was posting vacation photos from Cabo. I remember one night holding a cold compress to Mom's forehead. My phone buzzed. It was a picture of him grinning, a tropical drink in his hand, with the caption, "Living the dream." I felt a rage so pure, so hot, it almost choked me. My mother, his mother, was fighting for her life, and he was living a dream she was indirectly funding. When I confronted him on the phone, he called me jealous. My father told me to leave my brother alone, that he was processing his grief in his own way. Not once did he visit, not a single time in the final 6 months. Her final words to me, whispered in the quiet of the hospice room, were, "Don't you worry, Jennifer, I've made sure everything will be fair. You've been so good to me, it will all be taken care of." I held onto those words like a lifeline. They were my validation, the acknowledgement of my sacrifice. They were, I thought, her final act of love. What a fool I was. Which brings us back to that room. The lawyer, a man named Mr. Edwards with a face like worn leather, cleared his throat and read from the document. The language was cold, brutally efficient. "To my son Matthew Miller, I bequeath the entirety of my estate, including the property at 42 Oak Street, all savings and investment accounts, and all personal effects, lock, stock, and barrel." Silence. My head swam. I thought I misheard. I looked at my father, expecting him to be as shocked as I was, but he just stared at his hands, his face pale. He knew. He had to have known. Then I looked at Matthew. There was no grief on his face, no surprise, just a flicker of a smirk, a triumphant, smug little smile that said, "I won." That's when the lawyer slid a small, manila envelope across the polished table towards me. "Your mother left you this, Ms. Smith." I opened it. Inside was a box of old photo albums. That was it. My inheritance was a collection of memories of a family that had just proven to be a complete sham. The betrayal was so profound it felt like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. $375,000, the house, the savings, her jewelry, pieces she had promised me since I was a little girl, all of it gone. That's when Matthew spoke. "Well, I guess that's that, Dad. We should probably get going, lots to sort out." He didn't even look at me, he was already spending the money in his head. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't loud, it was a quiet, cold, final break. I stood up. The wooden legs of the chair scraped against the floor, the sound echoing in the deafening silence. My father looked up, alarmed. "Jennifer, sit down, let's not make a scene." A scene? He thought this was about a scene? I ignored him. I walked around the table until I was standing right in front of my brother, and that's when I said it. "Enjoy the house, enjoy the money, I hope it keeps you warm at night." Then I turned and walked out. I didn't run, I walked with a purpose I hadn't felt in years. I got in my car and just drove. And as the city lights blurred in my rearview mirror, my phone began to explode. There's a group chat with 47 unread messages sitting on my phone right now, even weeks later. My dad's calling me selfish. My aunts say I'm tearing the family apart. My brother, the one who just inherited enough to buy 2 houses, has the nerve to call me entitled. They expected me to be angry. They expected me to fight, to hire a lawyer to contest the will. What they didn't expect was for me to accept it, but my acceptance came with a single, irreversible condition: I would vanish. I drove for 10 hours straight, ending up in a small, coastal town where nobody knew my name. The first thing I did was get a new phone number. I blocked every single member of my family. Every aunt, uncle, cousin. I didn't just cut the cord, I burned the entire rope bridge. For the first few days, I just existed. I walked on the beach, I watched the waves, and I let the sheer, crushing weight of it all wash over me. They think I left because of the money. Let them think that. It's an easier pill for them to swallow, but my real reason for leaving was buried in that box of photo albums. About a week into my new life, in a small, sparsely furnished apartment that smelled of salt and old wood, I finally opened the box. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just torturing myself, flipping through pictures of happier times that now felt like lies. Tucked into the back pocket of an album from 1998, I found it. A single piece of folded paper, not in an envelope. It was a note in my mother's own handwriting, dated just 1 week before she died. My heart hammered against my ribs. Her handwriting was shaky, weaker than I'd ever seen it, but it was hers. It wasn't a legal document, it was a confession. It read, "My dearest Jennifer, if you are reading this, it means I have gone through with a terrible choice, and I can only pray you will someday understand. Matthew is in trouble, deeper trouble than your father or I ever let on. He owes people a great deal of money, dangerous people. He came to me desperate. He said he would end his own life if I didn't help him clear the debt. He said this was his only way out. Leaving him everything is my last, desperate attempt to save his life. I know it isn't fair. I know I am breaking my promise to you, but I have to believe that you, my strong, capable daughter, can build your own life. You always have. He never could. Please, please do not see this as a lack of love. See it as a mother's final, flawed act to save a son who is drowning. Forgive me. Love, Mom." I read it once, then twice, then a dozen times. The words swam before my eyes. It wasn't a verdict on which child she truly loved. It wasn't a slap in the face, it was worse. It was her final act of enabling him, built on the foundation of my perceived strength. She had sacrificed my future on the altar of his weakness. He hadn't just been spoiled, he had weaponized his incompetence, his desperation, into blackmailing a dying woman. And my father stood by and let it happen. He watched her sign that will, knowing the lie it was built on. In that moment, everything crystallized. The anger I felt in the lawyer's office was nothing compared to the ice-cold certainty that washed over me then. This family wasn't just broken, it was toxic. It was a sinking ship, and they had chosen to sacrifice me to patch a hole in the hull. I thought about what to do with the note. I could send it to them, cause the explosion that would surely follow, but what would be the point? More drama, more lies, more of them trying to convince me it was all for the best. No, I wasn't erased from the will, I was liberated. My mother's last gift to me wasn't the box of photos, it was the truth. It was the freedom to walk away without a single shred of guilt. So I made a decision, a peaceful and brutal decision. I took a photo of the note. I composed a single, final email. I attached the picture and sent it to my father and my brother. The subject line was just one word: goodbye. The body of the email was just as short. I found this. The money was never the point. The lie was, my inheritance from Mom wasn't in her bank account, it was in this note. It was the permission to finally stop holding up the roof. I hope you both find what you're looking for, do not try to find me. I hit send, and then I blocked their email addresses. I shut my laptop. I walked out of my apartment and onto the beach. As the sun set over the ocean, I felt the last anchor to my old life break away. I didn't lose an inheritance, I bought my soul back. And as for my spoiled brother and my silent father, they can have the house, the money, and the secrets they are now forced to live with. I hope it keeps them warm at night. Because I have the ocean, a new sunrise, and a future that belongs only to me. And that is a fortune you can't put a number on.